Both Sankhya and Karma Yoga emphasize changing our vision from looking towards the outside to looking at our inner being. So, in the midst of anything, in the midst of work, for example, most people are concerned with the outside, the exterior world. Hardly anybody emphasizes that the subtle is more important than the gross manifestation of it. Basically, the stream of consciousness in the universe gives birth to material events. This is the very basis of Sankhya Yoga. And as an actionable philosophy of life, it should be the basis of Karma Yoga as well. It is basically our inner attitude which is the determining factor in any pursuit of ours. Knowing this, one becomes relaxed even in the midst of the most difficult problems because you understand that outer results are not the real thing you need to concentrate on. Take away the sense of anxiety for results, and the results automatically move toward real fruition because the work is invested with your concentrated, undisturbed energy. That is the way of the Karma Yogi. You are cool within, and out of that coolness is born dynamism in action. So, from the point of view of Karma Yogi, we must unlearn this obsession with material things and material forces. Focus on having insight into your inner being. That is what makes you truly alive. That is what keeps every action of yours fresh. The source of from where you are acting, that is important. That is higher than the material sphere. It is the space from which both anxiety and wisdom come. It is your inner nature. Through this understanding, without self-consciousness, you gather real courage to jump deeper into that which you do. Not afraid anymore. Success, failure, these are simply byproducts of what you are doing. But it has become more affirmative, more pure because you are flowing into that which you are doing. You do not become stuck or frozen by the thought of results. So, this is the really positive attitude to our work related situations, our living in general, our interrelating with people. It is not centered around negativity anymore because now it takes away the question of human ego. Basically, where ego is, there's bound to be negativity. Real freedom comes from being inwardly free. You act like a pure energy, acting out the totality of your spirit. All the parts of yourself come together without any mental barrier. That is the very basis of the higher yogas. Now, in the Hindu tradition, there is Aparavidya and Paravidya. So, Aparavidya is that which is through the rational mind, knowledge gathered, through the linear mind. But the Paravidya is that intuitive spiritual mind. Beyond mind, it is the state of no mind. And out of that comes joy. Creating a vibe within yourself and within others. You begin acting out of a deeper space. That which has been called the void, the shunya. Your defensive armor is dropped because nothing can hurt you. You see, the problem with people is that they wear a defense around themselves, so failures hurt them. But the Karma Yogi accepts vulnerability. And then the quality of action is transformed. The emphasis is not on the action itself, but the quality of it. The quality of action. Most people's energy never reaches the threshold of freedom because they are almost as if enclosed by the fear of results. Hence, they cannot make really great things happen. Yet each person is capable of tremendous energy. Life transforming energy, circumstance transforming energy. The only thing needed is to be overflowing with ecstatic, tireless exuberance. Yet that doesn't happen because we worry about finding the path ahead, wondering whether we will stumble and fall. So the real understanding for the Karma Yogi, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, is that the guide is within us. All we have to do is allow that guide to surface and act spontaneously through us. The inner guide is what matters, the most important part of you. It takes you away from feeling limited to feeling like your very heart is involved now, with bliss, with creativity. There's eventually no good action or creative action which is born of misery. creative action comes out of spiritual fullness. It is the power to sing your song in life with an intensity that takes you to the highest peak of your own consciousness. All strength, all courage in life derives out of the way your inner being is allowed to express itself. So, Karma Yoga is the situation where the inner being, the hidden guide within us, that which Sankhya calls the witness, is allowed to enjoy the very process and journey that it has been placed within the material world. From this point of view, it implies that we can live as powerfully as possible, provided we do not fall into that old trap of being result oriented, but become more consciousness oriented. This is the secret. Results are only a byproduct that follow from being consciousness oriented and improving that sphere of our being. That is why mysticism, that is why spirituality are important. So enjoy the journey, and the destination will be reached effortlessly, not only quickly but in a state of joy. And that is the quality we must seek to imbibe. Karma Yoga means that more efforts have to be made to do your work with greater consciousness. The determining factor is how far we have been attentive, we have been to our inner being, how devoted we are to our inner awareness of greater possibilities. Throughout human history, you can observe that truly great people have a certain grace in the way they act. They have a deep efficiency, but this is born out of enjoyment of their work. They don't look at circumstances as something to be endured, but rather have the ability to meet the circumstances smilingly, as if nothing can touch them. They are in a state that they do not respond to the ego, but through the relaxed spaces of inner vision. Some of the most successful innovators, pathfinders, are those who have not relied on being overly clever, overly calculating, but instead they function spontaneously. Even in a state of great effort, they have the ability to be cool, to be detached. And that is what allows them to do what others are not able to do. Because the real stamp of individuality at work is the individuality of your inner nature. If it's allowed to function with utmost freedom, you function from the innermost part of yourself, and the results surface as if spontaneously. This is Karma Yoga. This is Sankhya Yoga.